Good evening.
Good evening. This is Chris calling from PBS FM in Australia. Is this Glenn I've reached?
Hang on a second. Let me just take it out. Hey, how are you?
Not too bad at all. How are you?
Where are you calling from again, Melbourne?
Melbourne, Australia.
Great, lovely.
Awesome stuff. Yes, I've also got a good friend of mine, Matt, here with me. Matt will actually be doing the majority of the question asking, and I'll pipe in myself every so often.
Sure.
Cool. Awesome. Well, obviously, thank you very, very much for taking the time. So, Matt, go ahead. Let's
You're welcome.
Get this going.
Glenn Hughes, hi. This is Matt, and first of all, I'm a long-time Purple fan, a long-time fan of your solo stuff. So, thank you for the opportunity to talk to you. And
thank you, my pleasure.
And happy birthday for the other week.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Happy birthday to you, man.
Thank you.
And as a musician, can I say thanks for the music and the inspiration? That's coming from
the pleasure's all mine.
Very deep place. First question I have to ask is the standard opening interview question. The big tour coming up. What can we expect? What can Australian audiences expect?
This is the first time I've done anything quite like this in 41 years. People ask me why now? Why not 5 years ago? Why not 2 years ago? Well, I didn't think it was time to do it then. And I've never really embraced the past. I've always moved forward, which I think people should do. But it would appear now that Deep Purple, the band itself, is coming to an end this year. And David Coverdale has done an album called Purple, White Snake or whatever. That I thought the appropriate time to do something like this, with honoring the Deep Purple legacy, would be now. This is global. This is all over the world. So I'm really honored that I can be bringing it to Australia first.
Awesome. Glenn, this is Chris here. And what have you heard David Coverdale's kind of Purple releases, and what did you think of them?
Oh, I thought it was interesting. I think it was a little different to the original. I think it had to be a little different. So, he only gets love from me, David. He's a dear family member to me. And, we were inducted into the Hall of Fame in America last year in New York City.
And congratulations.
So it was a really grand moment for David and I to be inducted with the other guys. So it was a great moment. And as I said before, I'm really, really happy to be bringing this to Australia, because this is going to be epic. I really, really look forward to it.
As do we. So one question: is there any songs from the Purple catalogue that you've never played live before that your audiences will hopefully get to hear?
Without
giving it away.
Songs I'm going to be playing. Obviously in Melbourne, that I haven't played in a long time. And those are going to be interesting. Youthful Nirvana is something which is quite epic, because it's got a keyboard solo and a guitar solo, a drum solo. So it's going to be pretty epic, because I've got a great keyboard player, an Australian guy named Lockie Doley from Adelaide. He plays with my friend Jimmy Barnes, Lockie is, in my opinion, the greatest keyboard player we have on the planet. So to have him in my band is really mega. So to have these kind of guys, and Jeff Coleman on guitar and Pontus Engborg on drums, my guys, I think I'm bringing a really incredible virtuoso band to do this tour. It's really, really important to get these songs feeling just like they were and getting them appropriate and ready to go.
Sounds absolutely wonderful. Actually, that was one of my next questions. How did you get to meet these musicians? How do you know them through? I mean, you said you know Lockie through Jimmy Barnes.
I was in Australia about 12 years ago, working with Jimmy, making a record, writing songs with Jimmy actually. And I met Lockie playing with Jimmy, and I said, "Oh my God, who's this keyboard player?" And he was so damn good. He played with me. I did a small run in Australia about 12 years ago, and he played with me. And of course, he played with me on my last solo album in Europe last year. And he also recorded Highway Star with myself and Steve Vai and Chad Smith 4 years ago. So I have a long history with Lockie. And of course, the Deep Purple legacy is intact.
Very much indeed. Which brings me, why do you suppose these Deep Purple songs are so timeless, 40 years on? Why do you suppose they're still timeless and they still resonate with people?
We were, back in the day, we were on fire. I mean, I think Deep Purple were a very virtuoso band. We extended songs. We were a band that was very spontaneous on stage. We weren't afraid to take things out of the box. We weren't in any way, shape, or form like a formalized where everything had to be perfect. It was very dangerous to be in a band called Deep Purple. You never knew what kind of thing was going to hit you next on stage. A flying guitar, or a flying cabinet, or something on fire, or maybe I'm on fire. I'm not sure. But it was very, very dangerous, and it was very, very exhilarating.
So have you ever had any flying guitars hit you in the face or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think they were meant to hit me in the head, but a couple have. And, at Cal Jam, where if you see the video, you see Richie blew the stage up. It was pretty scary, man, to have that lift, the wind lift you right up off the stage. It was pretty scary, man. So, as I said, Deep Purple stage was a very, very dangerous place to stand on.
I'll just backtrack one step. You mentioned you were writing songs with Jimmy Barnes. Have those songs as yet seen the light of day? Will they?
No, I mean, I wrote a half a dozen songs with Jimmy. As you know, he writes all the time with other people. So, I have heard, I think one of them has been released, I'm not sure. But, I know that Jimmy's got the songs, and, I'm not sure if he's going to release them or not. But it's music is music, and I wrote many, many songs. So we just have to wait and see.
You had written some classics. One question I did want to ask, and I'm going to preface this with, if you don't want to go down this particular path, I'll understand. The 75 Jakarta tour, and there was talk of it with Patsy Collins' whole incident, and there was rumours going around for many years that there was talk of a movie being made or something about this.
Yeah,
do you know anything about it?
We're actually doing that at the moment. It's been ongoing for about 4 or 5 years. We're at some point I'm going to have to go back to Jakarta and finish the. It's look, I was in jail for 3 days there. It was not a good time for me. The president wants me to fly down there and do some work and stuff and do some handshakes and what have you, and it may happen. They want that to happen. I'm a little unsure, but I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But I feel that I may need to do that to close the door, if you will, and I guess it could be an opportunity to finish the movie. But it's something that we've been trying to get finished for 4 or 5 years.
No, I did actually have doubts about bringing that up because I know as a
it's okay,
it's a dark moment.
It's on a lot of people's minds, and I get asked about it quite a lot. As you know, on YouTube, there's little bits and pieces of footage, and you see that we were in trouble there. We were in real trouble. We were the first band to play in that part of the world. We got paid an extremely amount of money, a large amount of money, and of course, we had to give all the money back because somebody was killed, and they were blaming people, and it was a very, 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 very difficult time for anyone when that stuff happens. And it's a difficult time for me because I lost 3 guys that year, a roadie and 2 Deep Purple. Sorry, a security guard and 2 other roadies from Deep Purple in the course of 1 year. It was a difficult year in 1975.
No, I do appreciate you opening up about it, as I said, and as you
mentioned,
I mean, it's a dark
I'm
time.
I'm not one to fabricate lies or something. I mean, if I've got to dig deep, I'm going to answer the question appropriately. It is difficult to answer some of these questions because when you're behind bars with guns pointed at you, in reality, it's not easy to breathe, and there's no way you can get out of there. It was just obviously set up that somebody was going to die, and somebody would have to go to jail, and 3 or 4 of us were in jail, and we had to send Patsy's body back to the UK. It was difficult, very difficult.
I can hear the emotion in your voice as you're telling this story, and so I'm just going to... So out of respect for you and for the memory of Patsy and the whole incident, I'll just do a complete subject change, actually.
Okay.
It's out of respect for you and for the legacy there. But and I ask this primarily as a big fan. You've got the sort of back catalogue that most artists would envy, that covers a complete gamut of musical styles. But a couple of albums that you had that do have a bit of infamy, I guess. I'd like to ask you about, if that's okay. The first one is the 1982 Hughes Thrall album.
Yeah.
What a
that sold over 1 million copies just to musicians around the world.
I'm one of them.
It was a big album for musicians and for people that, in the entertainment industry. That's a big a hand guide book on what was going on in the 80s. It was a big album for Pat and I. And I'm really happy that people look at it that way.
I've probably bought about 10 copies myself over the years. I cannot fault it. There's been internet rumours have been rife about Volume 2 for a number of years. Will there ever be Hughes Thrall Volume 2? Well,
funny enough, Pat, he played with me last summer. Pat played with me in Las Vegas, and we've been reconnected for years ago. We started to do something 10 years ago that is fantastic. I'm not sure if it would work in today's current market, because what we were writing is a little slightly different, slightly left of center. It's very, very good. I just think it's an ongoing thing. We talk about it all the time. It's a matter of getting a window available to actually record, and then a window to mix and then release. But it is one of my ideals is to actually do a Volume 2 with Pat, because he's an extremely talented young man.
Oh, he certainly is. He certainly is. And look, if Volume 2 never doesn't come to fruition, that's perfectly okay, because Volume 1 is...
Well, I'll tell you this for nothing. There is a Volume 2. It's just not done yet. We've recorded 10 songs. I got to be honest with you guys. I've never really spoken about it, because you hit the nail on the head. Yes, there is. The songs are not finished, though. They need to be finished and mixed, and they need to be, framed properly. Because I'm really a guy that likes to finish complete things. So we have to just wait and see a little while longer.
As a fan, I can't wait for that one. And as I said, if it never sees the light of day, Volume 1 is just a
Oh, you're very kind. I really appreciate that.
Another album, if I could ask you about, I could ask you about your whole catalogue willingly, but time would work against us. Seventh Star, the Tony Iommi album, which a brilliant album, very underrated in my personal opinion. Now, would you mind please setting the record straight? Now, that was, I believe, supposed to be an Iommi solo album. Is that correct?
That was supposed to be Tony's album. He signed to Warner Brothers, and you got to remember that I came on board because I was one of Tony's best friends, I still am. We're very like family. He asked me to come on board, to do a solo album. Of course, I said I'm in. So we're about to finish, all the songs were done. I was just about to do the last vocal. And then Don's manager came and says, okay, we're going to call it Black Sabbath featuring Tony Iommi. And I was going, well, this really isn't a dark, evil album. As you know, it wasn't really, I wasn't singing about, the arts and the seven dragons and the witches and evil things. I was singing about other stuff, but melodically and rock-wise, it was a very dark record. But it really wasn't what I would consider to be a classic Sabbath album. But it was definitely a different kind of album. But I think it was a good piece of music.
It's a great album, and I know that there's many documented stories about the tour. I've sometimes wondered, do you personally think it would have been better to tour clubs and smaller venues and called the band name Seventh Star, or called the band Iommi Hughes or Hughes Iommi or something like that?
I don't know. That period for me was a period I don't remember too much. The tour was difficult for me. I'm not the man I am then. I mean, I'm a different guy. So it was a difficult time for me. I said the album was all I remember. I don't remember so much. If you read my book, I don't remember the 1980s. I really don't.
I have read it. I have read it several times.
I do remember the 1970s. It was a lot of fun.
I have read it several times.
I came back to life in 1990, if you will. So the 80s for me were very, I was run over by a car. I was stabbed, pistol whipped, shot at, set on fire. Yes, I may have died too, but it was a very difficult time for me.
So how do you go from the person that you were in the 80s to the person that you are now?
Well, let me just say this to you, that I am a changed man. I've had a divine intervention. I'm not going to go all religious here. I just want people to know that I've done some insane things in my life, good, bad, and indifferent, and crazy, wonderful, and weird. But I have lived to tell the tale where a lot of my dear friends and girls and guys have not been so fortunate. I am so grateful. I may be the most grateful man you have on the radio this year in Melbourne. So all I can say to you is I have this story I can tell within my music where I bring to the stage, and I think you have to believe me when I say that I'm really anxious to come back to Australia and bring all the love I can.
I'm trying not to sound like a fan. I'm trying to sound like a professional interviewer. But I'm saying thanks for coming back, and thanks for all the stuff you've done.
Melbourne is a place that I have great memories. It was an incredible time for me in the 70s with Purple there. I remember that those gigs were so hot and amazing, and it's always a pleasure to be amongst you. You Aussies are a great group of people, and it's always an honor for me to sing and play for you. I'm so looking forward to seeing everybody at the gig in Melbourne in a couple of weeks. It's going to be amazing.
Is there any song from the entire Glenn Hughes catalogue, the solo stuff, the band stuff, the project stuff, is there any song from your entire recorded history? What's one song that you have never played live that you would like to?
There's quite a few. From Seven Star there's a couple of songs from Seven Star I'd never done. So in memory, that would have been really cool. Where Did the Time Go? Hughes Thrall, never played that live. This I guess there's so many. I've recorded, I don't know, I've been on over 80 albums.
Yeah.
There's so many things I haven't played. I write most of my work, as you know, and produce it. So there's so much work that I've done. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And you say you're constantly writing, and there's a lot of stuff that has yet to see the light of day. So, is there any plans for a Glenn Hughes box set of unreleased demos or anything along those lines?
I would have to say yes, because I want to own all of my work. I mean, it's something that as I go through the years, I want to make sure that the masters are intact and they're mine. They all will come back to me at some point.
Awesome.
So there are some things that you've never heard that I've done that I'll probably get to release at some point. I do film a lot of things. I film most of the things I do. So there are things that I'm always thinking about the future, because the future, gentlemen, is very visual as well as audio. It's about leaving a legacy that people can see. Because from the 70s, remember in the early 70s, there was no real videos. There was California Jam, and there was Woodstock, of course, and a couple of great festivals, but there really wasn't much. And now it's all about visual, so I try to film as much as I can.
Okay. Glenn Hughes, thank you from the heart of a very appreciative fan, and honoured to speak to you. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to Chris and myself.
You're very welcome. To all the people in Melbourne, I love you immensely, and I look forward to seeing you and it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to rock, rock, rock. I promise you, it's going to be an event you will never forget.
I'll hold you to that.
You have a deal, my friend.
If it doesn't rock, we're coming. We're going to say, hey, remember that interview you did with us? You said it was going to rock.
You can call me out any time, but it's going to rock. You have my word.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you very, very much for your time. We really appreciate it, Glenn.
You're very welcome, my friend.
No worries at all. You have yourself a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.